What's up, guys? Sun Wukong, aka DJ Nikki here. Two things. First of all, I apologize for not getting to chapter 5 at all over the course of this week. I know I said I was going to do it on, last Sunday, then I moved it to Tuesday, and just so much shit has been going on that I haven't had time to actually schedule this, try and make it a time that, as many people as possible can come through to. And just sit down and read the chapter in general. Like, you don't know how badly I've wanted to read this. So since we're like technically a chapter behind now, because I know that Chicken and everyone else were able to get out chapter 6 already, I'm going to try and do chapter 6 on Tuesday. Don't hold me to that, but that's what my plan is going to be, just so we can get caught up to where next Sunday, assuming chapter 7 is out, we can do that then. And then as far as this being so late tonight, this won't be, a normal time for this by any means. I've just been behind on stuff today. And I meant to start this, like, literally a good 10, 15 minutes ago, but the layout had gotten fucked up. And I changed some of the, the display settings on my computer. So it is what it is. But I hope you guys, are excited nonetheless. Smash that like button if you are. Share the video. As always, please support Chicken and the rest of the staff, and give them your thanks for translating this, for their dedication, their hard work, their consistency. It really means a lot. So with that said, we're going to get straight into this reading. From my understanding, chapter 5 is just the straight up full chapter, no parts to it. So there won't be any intermission or anything like that. We're just going to go straight through. And unfortunately, because of time, I have even more stuff I have to do IRL after this. So because of time, there won't be much discussion about the chapter. I mean, of course, it'll be my normal commentary as I go through, but as soon as we're done reading is pretty much where we're going to end. And if there's really stuff I want to dive into, I will do that during the next, reading, which will probably be on Tuesday, like I said. So with that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Not even going to mention break time right now. I don't even feel like it. But let's just get into it, man. Let's just get into it. ReZero Arc 4, Chapter 5, titled The Amelia Faction. I'm guessing we're not going to, we'll, at the very least, we'll probably get, like, preparations as far as movement towards the sanctuary is concerned. But, dude, I'm really, really curious about this man Garfield that Frederica mentioned. So, hopefully, look at that Otto greatness, dude. That one image, caption for which I will never forget. I like a man that can decide things quickly, Natsuki-san. I'm telling you, that this little side ship, this little random headcanon is something that could very well go quite far. But anyway, multiple people, Nicholas Soffin and Tinker, working on this one. Everlasting Covenant, Chapter 5, The Amelia Faction. Let's fucking go, man. Just as Frederica declared, it was 2 days later when they set out for the sanctuary. In between her duties at the mansion, Frederica had been teaching Petra in the stables about the location of the sanctuary. Since she was responsible for most of the work at the mansion, Subaru suggested she could lighten her workload if she just told him the location of the sanctuary directly, but... My apologies, but the location of the sanctuary is of great importance to our master. As a mere servant, I cannot act rashly in this matter. I would have preferred to not even teach it to the ground dragon if I could avoid it. So she politely refused to teach him. Ew. I missed Frederica so much. Although it didn't sit well with him, complaining about Rosewall's overcautiousness wouldn't get him anywhere closer to the sanctuary. And considering how things were unraveling, Subaru had no choice but to submit to Frederica's judgment. So, Subaru, what you're basically, you don't have faith in the Petrarch greatness? Like, just, it's all well and good. Just let her learn, and she'll guide you there. There's no need for more than that. And so Subaru spent 2 uneventful days hanging out with the villagers and returning to the role of a servant, performing some of the menial tasks at the mansion. All while pursing up her lips in annoyance that Puck still wouldn't come out, Amelia, who also had nothing to do, would timidly follow Subaru to the village and make an effort to reduce the distance between the villagers and herself. Dude, I hope she's made some progress on that front. And also, reading all sorts of books and texts Subaru couldn't understand. She spent her time building her knowledge. Dude, I'm wondering when Puck is actually going to reinsert himself at this stage now. As they each spent their 2 days in their respective ways, there were a few changes that occurred. The first was... what is Otto about to be on, dude? Why is everything dumped on a heap? Documents that need to be prioritized, documents that need to be discarded as soon as they've been read, and documents that aren't even worth reading. When they aren't sorted properly, it ends up like this. Otto, I didn't strike you for such a meticulous individual. Scratching his head violently while grumbling, Otto sorted the documents around him at an incredible speed. Quickly looking over a document and roughly grasping its contents, he tossed it into one of the giant sorted piles on the table. Then on to the next, and the next. He continued to separate and organize. Watching Otto's eyes and hands flicker here and there, turning his head from side to side so quickly one would almost expect to see flames shooting out across the table, Subaru, resting his chin in his hands, sighed in amazement. Ha! That's amazing! If it was me, even if they were printed out neatly, it'd still be gibberish to me. It's not as if I'm trying to understand them. I'm only separating them into documents relating to finances, relating to petitions, and various other types efficiently first. If only each document was sorted when they first came in. But looking at this arrangement, it's organized in a way that only the man himself could understand, I'm afraid. It was unheard of that Subaru should find himself feeling a sense of admiration for Otto. Dude! Oh, man, my boy. Always getting shat all over. Who was glaring at the amount of documents looking rather appalled. Hearing him speak of the document's owner, Roswell's face emerged in Subaru's mind, and he couldn't help but feel that, despite being blurted out casually, Otto's theory was probably spot on. It's a frightening thought. To think Roswell would be would be so capable that he could see some kind of logic to this giant pile of documents. But the problem was that since no one else could understand it without him here, there was no choice but to sort them all from scratch, dude. You can't even question the method to Roswell's madness, dude. There's just no point. Absolutely no point in doing so. Okay, it's in broad categories now. Next is to arrange them in chronological order. But before that, maybe I should separate them more into processed and unprocessed first. I don't know whether I should call you a meticulous or obsessive compulsive. Dude, that's what I'm saying right now. Obsessive compulsive. I mean, as far as anything that has to do with the mercantile structure, I think Otto's just on another level, a completely different plane. Everything else outside of that, even practical matters, I think he's just a fucking... I don't know. I think Subaru's infected my mind as far as the Otto hate train is concerned. But Otto, you're definitely a type A, aren't you? What's a type A? Dude. If only that was a play off of top A. I mean, it very well could be, but... that doesn't sound like anything good at all. Seeing Otto stare at him, Subaru waved his hand from side to side without bothering to explain. It's not like he actually believed that blood types had anything to do with one's personality, aside from being useful as a half-assed conversation topic. Incidentally, Subaru is type B, or rather, the entire Natsuki family is type B. Whenever this was mentioned to someone, the reply they get would always be, "I knew it," and so it wasn't a very pleasant subject for them. Dude, this is the second fucking time in recent chapters that Subaru has mentioned his family. I'm trying to see the Natsuki family, dude. Like, there has to be fan art or something in existence for his family, because that's interesting to me. Wait, now that I think about it, what's that? Why did you stop? You were going at such a great pace. Keep going. As someone who cares about efficiency, I don't really mind doing this, but isn't this situation a bit odd? Why am I, a traveling merchant, standing in the Margrave's office, with sweat all over my forehead, working so hard to sort through his documents? Isn't my position a bit odd here? That's what I'm saying. But it very well could be. Very well could be. That took you pretty long to notice, didn't it? Seeing Otto only just now noticing all this, Subaru lowered his head and laughed deviously. The reason Otto was performing this menial task, rearranging documents pertaining to the affairs no less, was all entwined with Subaru's schemes. That is, to secure useful talents for the Amelia faction in Rosewall's camp. Good man, dude. Good man. I mean, realistically, Otto would be an incredible help. Plus, just having him, if he truthfully does join the faction, that's absolutely perfect. Fine with that. I'd rather have that than have him slip away into obscurity and not really see much of him. In the present situation, as Subaru sees it, Amelia's position in the royal selection isn't good at all. As her knight, or at least as someone generally recognized as such, he was instrumental in repulsing the witch cult and slaying the white whale, but compared to the abysmal negativity still surrounding Amelia's situation, just how much of an effect did all this have is still a question. It's a good point. Plus, in terms of your actual prowess and skill, you're going to have to expand a little bit further as well. Compared to each of the other camps, Amelia was behind before the race had even begun. Further increasing the difficulty of her position was the fact that her key supporter, Rosewall's true intentions are still utterly indiscernible. Although he was publicly backing her, Rosewall's performance as her patron could only be described with the word failed. I mean, it's all serving his ends, though. So, I don't think he would categorize it that way. But he failed to prepare a single countermeasure against the witch cult, even though he should have foreseen it from a mile away. And now, after having overcome that threat, they don't even have a way to contact him. If he could just come out and announce whether he's an ally or an enemy already. Either way, he's certainly a troubling existence. I think your outlook on Rosewall is a little bit short-sighted, though, Subaru. There's definitely multiple layers to that you're not discerning. On top of that, the people surrounding Rosewall all tended to keep their mouths shut when it comes to their master's true intentions. Revering Rosewall above all else, with unquestioning devotion, Ram's behavior was only to be expected, and Frederica, with her strong dedication to her role as a servant, would not say anything either. Even Puck and Beatrice would not break their silence on the matter to Subaru and Amelia. In other words, there was not a single person Amelia could safely confide in. I wouldn't lump Puck in with that, but nevertheless, of course Subaru wanted to become that person to her, and was in fact acting in a way befitting of such an existence. But Subaru's reach was too short, even compared to an average person. He was sadly aware of the fact that he was not a man who could reach her every itch. Weird way to categorize that. And by himself alone, he cannot wipe away her every discomfort, and this bothered him to no end. So then, the one who caught Subaru's eye was the man going back and forth between Arlem Village and the mansion. The one who would smack his lips after dinner and tea, saying things like, having no ambition and getting settled down like this would surely make anyone rot, while smiling relaxedly. Otto. In other words, if there aren't any allies around, why not start cultivating some now battle plan? Dude, another ridiculous name for one of his stratagems. I find what you suddenly said somewhat disturbing, but what does that have to do with me? I don't know, maybe, Otto-san. You still haven't sorted the documents over here. Oh, wow, dude, completely manipulated. Oh, sorry, let's see. The mining locations for arcane minerals and the quantities of their reserves. And this. Aren't these the kind of documents outsiders absolutely shouldn't be allowed to see? Well, he's hoping you won't be for long. You saw them. Okay, yeah, well, I'll do my best to explain it to Rosewall, so don't worry, okay? It's amazing how nothing in that sentence puts me at ease. While Otto was complaining and trying to hold the documents he'd just been given as far away from his eyes as possible, Subaru just grinned, acting like he was only some innocent observer. Seeing Subaru's attitude, Otto's face took on a look of horror, and he said, with his lips shaking, I don't want to believe it, but are you really trying to make me disappear by showing me documents no outsiders? Dude, Otto, I'm sorry, that thought process I can't even fault you for, because knowing this man, that very well could be the case with the history you have with him. Show me documents no outsiders should see, and then not coming to my defense when there's trouble, just to trample over the terms of our agreement. Of course not. The payment for your cargo and the favor you asked, I intend to fulfill all of them, and on top of that, I'm going to drag you even further into this until you're in so deep that you won't be able to run away, dude. Do you really have to be so twisted? I'm just a little traveling merchant. I don't know why you're trying to put so much weight on my shoulders, but please stop it. With a face that looked completely overwhelmed, Otto tried to object. Hearing this, Subaru felt he might have gone a little too far, so nodding his head lightly and changing up his expression, he mumbled, "My bad," softly. Dude, Subaru, you know you don't give a fuck. You know everything's going according to Keikaku right now. This man is completely being manipulated. I feel for him, I really do, but it's just so much fun to have this comedy at his expense. I went a bit too far there. I have so many different things filling up my plate. I'm in such a hurry to sort out all these tangled threads that I didn't even think to ask you how you felt about it. Sorry. Dude, I'm sorry. That's such a fake apology. No. If you become so reasonable all of a sudden, I'll feel disoriented. I wonder if I can ask, but what makes you expect so much from me? Seeing Subaru suddenly talking to him so normally, Otto got a bit confused, but he basically accepted this and asked him this question. After all, from his perspective, he had only known Subaru very recently, and there wasn't really anything to justify much trust between them. Of course, even for Subaru, their relationship wasn't a very strong one. They had some contact in previous loops. That's a mild way to put it, some contact in previous loops. So now he had a slightly favorable impression of him, but that was all. But if so, then why was he drawn to Otto like this? Honestly, it's not like I have any particular reason to be interested in you or anything. It's not like I value you as an Damn, dude. It's not like I value you as an individual. So it is mostly to do with you meeting the criteria. That's awfully frank. I guess I can understand. But what was the criteria? The fact that you're completely unrelated to any of the factions of the royal selection, and being good at weighing gains and losses, and your ability to negotiate and gather support are obviously valuable qualities. And most importantly, you don't seem to discriminate against Amelia for being a half-elf, or see her in a different way because of it. I mean, those are all valid reasons. At least you have some respect for the man's prowess. Hearing these three reasons, Otto stared at him without saying a word. Considering the situation Subaru and the others had found themselves in, these are all conditions that cannot be neglected, and up to now, as Subaru judged this man, Otto Suen was the only person to have met all of them. Otto, still without a word, was waiting for Subaru. Unlike when they were bantering just moments earlier, his eyes were lit with a calm, calculating brightness, flickering as if trying to peer into Subaru's mind. Subaru understood he was being evaluated, nor was he trying to hide. He had been evaluating Otto to begin with, so of course this is only fair, but... Also, and this is just my personal opinion, let's hear it. I feel I can get along with you. Frank, see, that's what it boils down to, because beneath all of this banter and mild joking animosity from Subaru's side, they strike me as very much so kindred spirits in a way. And they always have, which is why I've liked that dynamic to begin with, even though Otto's been getting far more hate than he deserves as of late. Frankly, even though there is nothing better than gaining more allies for Emiliaton, it's an extra bonus if we can get along. And also because you don't have any feelings for Emiliaton as a woman, that's crucial right there. Because if it ever comes to that, even if we were lifelong friends, I'll have you cut down, my man, dude. You'd kill your love rivals? Damn straight. If I had any rivals, I'll have zero confidence in me being able to win. Don't you underestimate my self-loathing in my life up to this point? See, and realistically, that line right there, 100% is all you need to contextualize the initial animosity towards Yuli, but everybody already had that position as such to begin with. Don't you underestimate my self-loathing, dude, that line. In my life up to this point, the number of people who actually like me can be counted with a single hand, Damn. My boy, see, it's things like that make me absolutely adore this man. Specifically, his parents, Rem, Wilhelm, Amelia, and with some reservations, Julius and Reinhardt. And that's about it. Actually, come to think of it, the count went past one hand just now. Receiving this kind of appraisal after coming into this parallel world, perhaps he was actually becoming more respectable after all, even though he couldn't see any of it in the mirror. Damn, dude. I don't want to waste time with that right now. Jeez, you really are a refreshingly straightforward person, but without any kind of reservations when sitting across a merchant on the negotiation table, you might as well be a sitting duck, you know. If this were a negotiating table, even I might try to hustle you a little bit, but it's not a merchant and a duck sitting here. It's just me and you, right? But if that's how you see things, I'll go change my equipment and my attitude. After having just praised me for my aptitude as a merchant, you go and say something like that. That even about how your tongue hasn't even dried before changing your words applies perfectly here. What is it with you? I mean, I'm not even, dude. Otto, there's so much I could say about this dynamic you've gotten yourself into. With a bothered looking expression, Otto sighed, and all signs of the suspenseful and guarded attitude of moments ago disappeared from his face. He took a quick glance at Subaru, who was trying to look indifferent, and said, I don't know why I'm saying this here, but Natsuki-san, I have a goal too. It's not something so grand that I could brag about it to other people, but it's a dream nonetheless. I think a man's dreams can either be so ridiculous that they need to be ludicrously exaggerated, or so ridiculous that they have to be kept inside and never told to anyone. Those are the only two kinds there are, I feel. But are you going to tell me yours? That's actually... I do like the play off of the notion of something being ridiculous there too. That's actually some great wisdom to pick up from Subaru, because I agree wholeheartedly with that statement actually. The fact that I agree with you is really and so does my boy Otto concurs as well, dude. I'm sorry, even at this point, even after everything we've gotten this season, Subaru is still taking Best Boy of the Year. I don't know how anybody could have anyone else on their mind, but that's just me personally, because I resonate with the man so heavily. Anyway, you see, I was born the second son of a fairly successful merchant family. Dude, are we gonna get to meet Otto's family at some point too? That'd be interesting. Ever since I was little, I was brought up in an affluent environment, though when it came time for me to become independent, I didn't receive much support. Subaru didn't know how many similarities there would be between the sibling situations of this world and the world he came from. But at least the same basis of passing on titles and inheritance seemed to apply here as well, specifically that it would be passed on to the eldest son. In that case, as Subaru had expected of a fantasy world set in the Middle Ages, Otto, having been born as the second son, only had a choice of either becoming his elder brother's assistant or aiming for independence by himself. While helping my brother manage his business, I learned the fundamentals of the trade and managed to save up enough money to set out on my own. With that money, I bought what the fuck? Furufu, my ground... Oh, okay, that's the name of his ground dragon. That's a dope name, I'm not gonna lie. I bought Furufu, my ground dragon, as well as a wagon to go with him, and well, I also had the divine protection I was born with, so all in all, it went pretty smoothly, I think. By divine protection, you mean the divine protection of anima whispering. Okay, right? Being able to talk to different kinds of animals, depending on how you use it, I guess you can make quite a crazy profit from it. But it's not as useful as you make it sound. There are quite a few inconvenient problems that comes with it that Natsuki-san hadn't thought of. In any case, it was followed by several years of me plugging away and barely scraping by, but in that time, something of a dream had sprouted inside my head. Continuing with his story, after delving into how he became independent, Otto once again brought up the word dream. Hearing that, for no particular reason, Subaru sat up properly, as if to listen attentively. Receiving this attention, Otto smiled warmly, and started off with, "It's a pretty common dream, you know. Any merchant who's been a traveling merchant will have this dream, is to own a place of my own, just like having my own castle, to have my own shop, to settle down there and do business there. If I could have this in some big city, it'd probably be the greatest happiness a merchant can hope for." That's your dream, Otto? I'm very curious about what this man's reaction is going to be right now. It's a pretty boring thing to hope for, but after having traveled and traveled, in the end, all I want is just to have the same thing I had when I was growing up. But well, I guess you could say that environment had been the symbol of happiness for me. Dude, it's damn respectable, Otto. I don't care what anybody says. Scratching his cheeks in embarrassment, Otto spoke faster and faster to try to cover it up. Subaru took in Otto's answer, and wondering whether he would get a favorable reply, he leaned back and dropped all his weight into his chair. But aloof to Subaru's concern, with a "that's why," Otto continued on. "A chance to make a big shot like the Margrave indebted to me, as the second son of a trader family, as a traveling merchant, and as a great merchant of the future to come. I can't possibly let such an opportunity pass me by. Especially considering I'd be selling a favor to someone who might become the future king of this country. It's a business opportunity so huge that even if I redo my entire life, I won't be able to find the likes of it again, isn't it?" "Okay, so you'll join us then." "Thanks, I'm glad. I knew you'd make the right choice, Otto. Now keep sorting the documents." You don't even have a comment on the man's dude. Bro, it's okay, Otto. I respect your dream. I respect your dream. What? That was pretty good speech just now, wasn't it? Isn't that reaction too lacking? I feel like letting it make an impression on me would mean that I lose somehow. Wow, dude, being a dick right now. Well, anyway, the moment you touch these documents that no outsiders are allowed to see, there was already no way out for you. And that trolling laughter, my boy. No matter how I look at you, you're still a terrible person. At the end of this long conversation, it seemed as though nothing had actually changed, and Otto didn't receive much compensation for his newfound determination. But even while teasing Otto like this, deep down, Subaru was thankful for it, though these words will never come out of his mouth. Dude, there's a little bit more apprehension and reservation on Subaru's part when it comes to Otto than even the dynamic with Yuli, which, in rarely is better. I mean, I love both dynamics, I'm not gonna lie, but Julius and Subaru is so much more fun. Though the banter with Otto just transcends, dude. The comedy that you get out of these dialogues is just too real. But I have to say this first. Unlike Natsuki-san, who supports Emilia-sama unconditionally, I'm only cooperating because of the present circumstances. If the Margrave and Emilia-sama ever fight amongst themselves inside the faction, I'll need to weigh the gains and losses before choosing a side. So please don't mistake me for a full-fledged ally. If you're weighing Emilia-san and Roswell on a balance scale, you're completely in my hands. I will slowly and surely feed you all of Emilia-san's good qualities. So don't you worry. You heard everything loud and clear just now, right? Brushing aside Otto's long-winded excuse, at the end his last sentence, Subaru turned his face and his words toward a completely different direction. Seeing Subaru do this, Otto, stunned with a dumbfounded expression on his face, turned his gaze to where Subaru was looking, and there. Yup, I mean, yes, I heard it properly, Subaru-sama. With a lovely smile, the girl in a maid's uniform swung her chestnut-colored hair, standing there at the door. Of the changes that took place in the mansion during these 2 days, this was the set. Dude, I completely forgot about the positioning of the first and second change. Got way too caught up in that dialogue just now. Alright, let's go. I guess we could have had an intermission here, but we're just gonna finish this up. I don't want this to be too long. With only Frederica, Subaru was also helping, but his ability as a servant was half-assed at best, and his breath still hasn't fully recovered yet. Managing everything at the mansion alone was physically impossible. So Frederica, understanding this, went down to the village personally to recruit some help. And that's where this girl jumped in with open arms. Dude, Petra! Let's fucking go, man. I knew it could only be one, to be honest. That was the only person that was coming to the mansion, if that were the case. Being a resident of Arlem Village, and being among those who evacuated to the capital, she had safely returned with them. But since most of the other villagers had not yet returned, it must have been an unsettling time for her. But still, when Frederica came to recruit a new maid for the mansion, she instantly jumped in, and as there were no other candidates who were interested, she was picked up, and was now working in the mansion in temporary employment. Dude, this is fucking amazing. You are still so small, but you're leaving your parents and coming here to work as a maid. You're amazing, Petra. I'm already 12, so I'm an adult who can work now. Actually, I'm just an adult. Petra, dude. That retort, I'm not even gonna lie. Too real. After that last carrot scene, I fucking love her so much more. Subaru-sama, could you treat me like one, please? I will consider it. If you say it politely after you get your temporary part removed from your temporary employment and after you get an official certificate from Frederica. Until then, I'll always treat you like a cute little girl. When he patted her on the head clumsily as she squirmed around, the girl, with her neatly arranged hair all messed up, let out a quiet eek and clung onto him tightly. It was a completely different reaction than what he expected, but it was certainly a lot better than being abused and spat on. In any case, she was at an age where she wanted to become older than she is and stand up on tiptoes. Petra, with a surprisingly strong character and her own way of growing up, her aptitude for being a maid was really quite high. Although she didn't meet all the points, in cleaning up the mansion and preparing food with Frederica's support, she had already surpassed Subaru in ability. Well, that's no surprise. Well, Subaru exactly. Subaru is really useless. So from outside the door of the master's office, she had been pricking up. Interesting. She'd been pricking up her ears to listen in on the conversation inside. She was, of course, acting on Subaru's instructions, and needless to say, it was all part of his scheme to lure out Otto's commitment and cut off his escape. Noticing all this, Otto's face turned red. He glared at Subaru. It was a setup? It's nothing to be concerned about. With a third person involved, your statements earlier are now legitimate official record. It was an emotional, heart-rending manipulation in order to secure witness testimony for the jury later. So think of it like that, dude, my boy. Too real. Absolutely too real. What is so emotionally heart-rending about a man talking about manipulation? Hugging his own head, Otto finally understanding there was now nowhere to run, shouted at them in a half-crying state. But it was too late. Giving Otto a grin, Subaru held up his thumb to Petra, who was standing at the door. Good job, Petra. But won't you get scolded by Frederica using time on something like this? Right now I'm spending my time sweeping the corridor. You have even more time to sweep the corridor in front of the Margrave's office. I wouldn't be scolded, dude. Petra's already learning the ways of the mansion. You're very shrewd. Even a small girl is a woman after all. Listening only to the second half of Subaru's deeply emotive words, Petra cheerfully loosened her cheeks. Seeing her predictably unchanging reactions and attitudes, it was true that there was something in there that warmed Subaru's heart. Petra, like Otto, is another ally who is now under the influence of Rosewall. Compared to Otto, there was not much she could do for Amelia, and her significance and influence is probably even less than Subaru's, but she is not afraid of Amelia. On the road to the capital city during their evacuation, she wholeheartedly remained at Amelia's side. Subaru would not forget that, and probably Amelia would never forget either. Her being there, perhaps there will be a time when Amelia will be saved by that existence. It never hurts to have more allies. What you can do isn't a problem. What's more important is what you are willing to do, and what you will strive to be able to do for that person. After all, if I'm counting the number of things I can do, it'll look really bad for me. His merits and his deficiencies, Subaru could probably count with his finger and figure out what he had more deficiency. And figure out that he had more deficiencies. But even so, he wants to be your ally, and so he has to use the few things he does have to their full potential, and keep on going one way or another. With a to hell with it attitude, with nothing to stop him embracing his over-optimistic explanation. We are definitely small, but let's do our best from now on. This is what we are, the very first members of the Amelia faction. I'm liking the lineup so far, I'm not gonna lie. Making a fist and punching it out into the air, Subaru made his declaration. Seeing that Petra and Otto, having been left out, looked at each other's faces. I never said that I'm part of that faction, right? Please don't misunderstand, okay? Otto, just shut the fuck up and go with it right now. I want to be an ally to Big Sister too, but I don't want to lose to her in what's important. Dude, Petra's still gunning for the man. I knew that'd be the case. I mean, the whole way that she wants him to see her as older is adorable in and of itself. Otto looked appalled, holding his head. Petra joining her hands behind her back, looking down and muttering hesitatingly. But still, in the end, they succeeded in matching up their fist bumps, so that there could be no doubt remaining in the bystander's mind that they totally knew what they were doing. The 2 days before setting out toward the sanctuary, even though it was only a tiny step forward, there was something real in all of that, and thinking this, the wait had already come to an end. Dude. I really like that chapter. Like, pure setup. Great development and exposition for Otto's character. And I'm just really happy. Dude, I want to see Petra in a maid outfit now. Like, there has to be fan art for that. There has to be maid outfit Petra somewhere. Please, if you guys have it, send it to me. I will use that shit for thumbnail. I'm good on the Otto fan art at this point. I'm really, really good on the Otto fan art. But yeah, that'd actually be perfect. I have a good idea for thumbnail right now. As long as we can get Petra maid outfit, then we'll be on point. Also, Otto's Grand Dragon has an amazing name. Those are my takeaways from the chapter right now. It's more accurate than animal whispering. See, I really appreciate this note because I was wondering if that was a misstep, but then anima I figured referred to soul, so then I kind of put that aside. And yeah, that's basically what this says. Otto's divine protection means literally word spirit and allows him to communicate with living things. So it's like life force whispering. Yeah, I like it. I like phrasing it like that. Not gonna lie. So nice to have time to probably work on translation again. For a bit short, but it's still pretty much. Dude, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy. It's over 4,000 words even still. Otto finally got a screenshot. Oh man. Thank you so much, Chicken, and everyone else that worked on this. I forgot who was listed at the top. I know Tinker was on it, Sofin was on it, I think, and Nicholas. Thank you for this chapter. It was fucking hilarious. It was really well translated, and I enjoyed it. So, like I said, I'm not gonna, go too much into any discussion of this chapter. I mean, it's really straightforward as far as the dialogue was concerned. But, like I said at the beginning of this, I'm going to be doing chapter 6 probably on Tuesday afternoon. I'm going to try and set up the stream Monday so I can just, be forced to adhere to it. But it might not happen. It might not happen. If it doesn't happen, I'm still going to try and get it done at one of the days this week, whether it's, I guess the only other day I can really think of that would be viable at that point is Friday at some point. But I'm going to definitely try for Tuesday, so that we can be doing Chapter 7 come next Sunday and be caught up, and not be behind anymore. But otherwise, thank you guys for coming through. I know this one was rather late. Appreciate all the hard work, as far as everybody, working on Translation Chicken. And smash that like button if you enjoyed. As far as the side videos for ReZero and Break Time, still just life is way too hectic right now. I don't actually foresee myself. Break Time I'll be able to start slotting in soon. I don't actually see myself being able to get as many of the theory and side videos out as I want to within this month at the very least, just because of how hectic it's gonna be, and I have other side videos that I need to give priority, but I'm gonna try to get them out at some point this month. So anyway, thank you guys for your patience, really appreciate it, and I'm out. Peace.